Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to this extraordinary experience that we are living together today. EAI 2022, the launch of this international community to really multiply opportunities within the entertainment and AI sectors. So we hope you had a wonderful morning, and this afternoon we are kicking off with a very special presentation. And I have with me Alexandre Teodoresco from Sept Doigts de la Main, the circus company, and Bertrand Nepveu from Triptyq Capital. Good afternoon.
Hello.
So it's really exciting to be presenting this panel because we're going to be speaking about metaversing. I didn't know it was a word. Metaversing, but how? So something big is happening, and we are talking here about more than a trend. It's really an unavoidable shift not to be missed. So let's sit down and have this conversation. I want to give you a proper introduction, Alex. So I'm going to be reading your bio. And then we will follow with you, if you allow. So, Alexandre, you've joined the Sept Doigts de la Main, which is a circus company, as their Director of Strategic Development and Innovation, because we all agree they go together, right? And Sept Doigts de la Main, Seven Fingers, is an art collective that's really unlike any other. It was founded by the 7 founders back in the early 2000s. And really the purpose is to redefine circus. So you're going to be telling us more about some of the ways you do that through innovation, and you've been really a leader, in the entertainment industry, and helping this contemporary company really tell the story in a different way. So your experience really spans across multiple sectors. Within this role, you really lead at the intersection of human creativity, live performance, and technology. And you've had lots of different experiences that you're going to be sharing some of the highlights with us. And of course, your domain of interest, which is the metaverse.
True.
Thank you for being with us, Alex.
Great to be here.
And Bertrand, you've had a very successful exit. We know you as the improbable, technologist from Quebec that spent 2 years at Apple. Your headset design is serving as a prototype for a very important project with them. So you're going to be telling us more about that.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe another time. But you are a self-described serial technopreneur, a fungineer, MBA. It takes one to know one. We don't always look all the same, right? And investor as well as a metaverser. So thank you so much for joining us. And you're with Triptyq Capital that works very closely with Zoo, supporting here the creative industries through, once again, innovation. So this is the common thread between the two of you, would you say?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we also spent a weekend in the chalet 2 months ago. That's also a common thread.
And that's not the
tell you
chalet
more.
up on the 5th floor
No,
that
no,
maybe you have the chance to experience here in the
But it's
States.
linked to what we have on the screen that we'll share with you in 20 minutes.
We are very exciting. There is a big announcement coming up, and it's now in 14 minutes, Alex. So
Okay,
we'll
14
be.
minutes. All right.
This is wonderful. So tell us a little bit more, about this intersection between the circus arts, which is very human, and some of the innovative projects that you're touching upon right now.
Absolutely. Before that, I want to say how glad I am to be here amongst friends. It's really great to be at this intersection between technology and creativity. That's what I do at the 7 Fingers. And basically, this is also the journey of the 7 Fingers to the metaverse, which basically we didn't start calling it the metaverse. Basically, more than 2 years ago, we wanted to really invest more into our tech capabilities to really augment the performance of our artists on stage. And then we went out to really approach the government to invest in us and allowing us to make mistakes, experiment, etc. So of course we started looking at how AR, VR, XR would allow us to do that. And all of a sudden, Mark Zuckerberg decided that metaverse was fashionable, and so now we're in the metaverse. But we started this journey more than 2 years ago. And very recently, we came out with a very interesting, not a POC per se, not a proof of concept, but really a live demo, where we are basically trying to see how it would be. We're always wanted to keep the human performance at the center of the experience, but how can we duplicate it, and how can we transpose the live performance into a digital environment, the metaverse? How can we reach an audience of not thousands like we do around the world for 20 years, but hundreds of thousands, millions even maybe? Why not Travis Scott-like? We're not there yet, but we're trying to find a way. And so this is our take on the metaverse. And we were, Bertrand was there a few weeks, like 2 weeks ago in our studios for that demo. And we're trying to crack the code of what it is, that is this experience. We haven't found it yet, but we're throwing everything we can at the wall and see what sticks. This is our journey so far.
Right. So cracking the code, and that's done through a collaborative approach. Is that something that you've experienced as well? Bertrand, you come from a very opposite, again, end of the spectrum, the hard tech, deep tech. So how does this project resonate with you, and what do you see as opportunities right now, specifically in the entertainment?
Yeah, I think we're at an inflection point. It's been a long journey. Like the metaverse now is fashionable, but it was a build-up from up to the 70s to now. Like hardware started like in MIT and Berkeley and all that, where they experiment how to augment the world and then how to immerse people. Gaming was a big part of building a metaverse. Like all the technology that comes from gaming enables us to create virtual world that can really make us much more creative. With AR, it's cool because you're in the real world, but you're kind of bound to the laws of physics and how to interact with a physical world. In virtual reality, like it's limitless what you can create. And I think that's where I see a big opportunity for Les Sept Doigts and all the entertainment industry to reinvent themselves and be even more magical. And my journey was mostly as a hardcore gamer who wanted to be immersed in his games. So I started as building hardware to do that. And it was a 12-year overnight success where like we came out of the basement, tried different things, got seed funded with VC money, then angel investor kept us alive, to a point where what we did was interesting enough for bigger companies to say, well, this is great, let's bring it to the next level. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about this because working at Apple is secrecy is king. But I see an inflection point where there's maybe 20 million headsets right now, 10 million Quests, maybe 5-6 PlayStation VR, and the rest is PC, where you can do, yes, gaming, but also productivity tools, live streaming, and all that, where the added value is really there. For me, for adoption to come, it's the good old 10x rule. It needs to be 10 times better. And I really think right now you can have experiences in the metaverse that are 10 times better than on a 2D screen.
So many points to take home and to comment on, which I will pause on. But you spoke about the the metaverse being there back in the 70s, and would you say that there was a renaissance, like just the way there was a renaissance of AI a few years ago, and Montreal is now one of the centers worldwide? So does that coincide?
Yeah, there was a lot of VR winters, So there was one in the 90s, like we saw the Virtual Boy, we saw Sega VR. They tried. Unfortunately, the technology was not there, and it went into oblivion. And when we started in 2005, they said, "Why are you doing this again?" And I'm like, "Well, I think the haha moment was like we have now the Xbox 360, which back then had the best graphic card on the planet. So for me, like we had a great machine, easy to use, and then 3D TV came along, so it enables the content to become 3D. We had better sensors with the Wii and all, so all the building blocks. But it's the good old hype cycle. So when we exited in 2017, I was seeing the VR winter coming in 2018. And I was like, either we raise a shit ton of money and survive, or we join someone who's not afraid of winters, you know? So we decided to take the second option. But now, as I said, there's an inflection point, there's a critical mass of devices, there's great content, and you know, it's the good old hype cycle where it goes super high, it will come very low and then go back up, and we're in that up phase. And now it's time to invest, because it's a lot cheaper to be earlier than try to keep, to go back and, you know.
And this is also what we're seeing. That's why we're in the game.
Yeah.
Is because we're seeing that mass adoption. We're seeing that the experience is moving away from only hardcore gaming and VR devices. And we're seeing where we need to skate where the puck is going to be, not where it is now, Wayne Gretzky. And so that's why we feel ready at the Seven Fingers. I mean, a circus show in the metaverse, who would have thought? And I'm not saying that the audience is there already, but we know that eventually it will become available and interested in different experiences, moving away from Fortnite or Justin Bieber in the metaverse, and we hope to find our audience there.
Yeah, and I think the storytelling, what I saw like a few weeks ago, like you can really see a really great hybrid approach where you can see the artist perform in real life, which is already impressive, but then you can also see them in like their vision, you know, their imagination, their expectation or their ambition. And I think that's very powerful, where to do that would cost probably millions of dollars to do in real life. But if you do it in the metaverse, it's much cheaper.
So it's very interesting, Bertrand, because you're bringing the point of accessibility. And earlier you mentioned that for mass adoption, it's the good old tenfold rule in terms of the performance. But usually technology would have a barrier also in terms of accessibility, either in terms of cost, before there's from the early adopters right to the mainstream. In this case, how do you perceive this? Is that going to be an advantage, the accessibility of the metaverse, for faster adoption, perhaps?
Well, I think there's the good old technology giants right now that are trying to take a piece of the metaverse, and historically they all have different culture. So I've been at Apple for 3 years, and you know, they want to make money on every portion of what they do. So they make great margin on hardware, they make great margin on software, great margin on apps. So accessibility will be different depending on which device. Like Meta, Facebook, is taking the good old console playbook, where you sell the hardware at cost or at loss. You have millions of devices, and then game developers, productivity app, entertainment companies, they will see, well, there's a critical mass for us to invest and recoup our money. So I think we're at that point where, I think everybody should at least try a Quest. There's no reason not to try it in 2022.
It's not even a question. I mean, it's super not expensive, basically, to enjoy that. I mean,
$400 Canadian.
The thing is, for us, you know, we're able to contemplate a future. We have an audience because there is this adoption, albeit it's only 20 million, but we can definitely see a year or two from now where it's going to be 100 million. And even if it becomes only as good as the console industry, it's going to be amazing. Hundreds of millions of gamers now around the world. We're talking about 2.5 billion nowadays. And so the reason, the issue now is not only the accessibility, it's how do you keep people there, right? How do you, because I don't know if many of you have been to Decentraland, but when there's not a fashion show going on, it's crickets, right? You see all those weird avatars where the first time in Decentraland, in the Central Plaza, not having anything to do. So that's where we step in, and where we need to make it accessible for creators, non-tech creators, to create, you know, immersive experiences in these different worlds.
That is such a good point. And actually, my next question was going to be specifically on some of the experiences that you've been particularly impressed with lately in the space.
Many things. I mean, I spend my time exploring those new things, and I'm trying to identify pockets of the future. You know, Gibson said that the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Where is it? And I find amazing experiences in so many different fields. The future of work is being transformed in front of our eyes. I spend time with my team in Workspace Horizon. I go to museum exhibitions. I go to Cannes XR. I go to, one thing, 2 years ago, I was trying to educate to share my thoughts on the metaverse with my mother-in-law, right? And right away she said, no, what are you trying to sell me here? Don't try to sell me this. And she said, the only reason why I'm going to go there is that if you can make me visit Paris as it was 1,000 years ago.
Wow.
She's a big fan of that. And I was in Paris a few weeks ago. I was invited to see this experience, which is a location-based VR experience on the history of Notre Dame. And it's a game changer. It's a social experience. You go through the stories, the centuries. You're being, guided by throughout the places that you never have access to. And it's a beautiful new way of doing history, tourism. And I think this is a great way to create new experiences. Where to start? Immersive theater, seeing The Tempest, a play from Shakespeare, immersed there, trying to learn, create a new language. Of course, our own circus exploration there. And there's not one dimension of our lives that will not be impacted by that. So I think for us creative, the metaverse is a beautiful new playground. And I have only 1 minute, 30 seconds to share with you before we say something else. So I'm going to stay here. But some of you we're already connected on LinkedIn, so keep commenting, and then I'll share more on that.
And nothing to sell, as you told your mother-in-law.
At the moment, we're not selling anything. We're just trying to figure it out.
So, Bertrand, if we agree that the vision of the metaverse is not fully realized, right? What would you say from, let's put it, an AI or a technology perspective? What would we be missing for the journey to truly unfold?
Yeah, I think that what's great about AI, and I worked 2 years in the AI department at Apple, and I knew pretty much nothing about AI, so I learned a ton there. It's an enabler. You take AI by itself, it doesn't mean anything. It's more like you're trying to solve a problem. If you have a lot of data, you can kind of come up with a probabilistic method that will be better than maybe a more traditional, like mathematical formula that you're trying to find. So when there's an uncertainty, but you have a lot of data, you can come up with a better solution. And for the metaverse to become what we want, there's so many problems yet to be solved. So I think that AI will be a great part of this journey. And I think it took, I don't know, like 50 years to really come up with a great storytelling method for the movie. And I think it will take, hopefully less than 50 years, but I think it will take a decade or two to come up really with the right way to do storytelling in the metaverse. And AI can be part of this. So like one of my great regrets is I was never able to meet Steve Jobs. Being a big fan of Apple and everything, I wish I could have met him. But I wish one day maybe there'll be a digital avatar of Steve Jobs, and with all the footage that they have from him,
Right.
They will be able with AI to kind of have a personality of Steve Jobs where you can like hang out with him and have fun.
And just this morning with David Usher and Reimagine AI, we were speaking about virtual and digital spirits. So that's definitely a conversation that connects. How exciting. And we all see that it touches us really deeply and emotionally, kind of the way that entertainment does, right? So there's really something there. That's beautiful. So our next question is specifically here in Quebec, because we've seen you've been active, and we want you to really tell us what needs to be done so that we're fully taking advantage of these opportunities for the future. So you have something special to announce.
Absolutely. Before moving on to that slide that you have there, we have to say that, I think we're all very proud of what Quebec creatives and technologists are capable of doing. We have accomplished many great things around the world. And I think metaverse and AI shouldn't be different. We should definitely take a leading role in that development. And this is why a few months ago, especially after seeing what other countries or the cities were already starting to do around the metaverse opportunity. They were already coming out with, plans and investment and all that. We got together with a bunch of friends, were interested in that thing, coming from different parts of, tech spectrum and creative spectrum. Said, let's go to a metaverse chalet and basically think what would be the future, what should be the future for Quebec creatives around that thing. Should we talk about it? We figured, having basically pushing it away because it's too buzzy and it's all, everybody's talking about, it's not a strategy, not for us individuals or companies. It should be a strategy for the country or the province. So we came out of there. It was a lot of fun. And we basically decided to work on this document, basically that we would share with you and basically would allow the continuation of this conversation. The document is called the Manifeste du Metaverse Québécois, the Manifesto of the Quebec Metaverse. We didn't really think about it in English, to be honest. But I wanted to share that with you. Bertrand and I are only two of the team that wrote the document, and many of you already signed it. Some of you don't have access to it. You can have access to it now, if you can put it on the screen. So, two parts to it. On the left side, you have the why, and on the right side, you have the how. And basically, 5 reasons, right? Why should we invest in this metaverse thingy, right? First, and I think this, maybe it's my influence, we need to ensure our cultural sovereignty. We say that in English,
yes.
Yeah? Just the way, and I see Serge here, having Cirque du Soleil, basically build Las Vegas, right? It meant that in the hallways, right, you were speaking Québécois, right?
Tout à fait.
And so right now, we're known around the world for being amazing storytellers, having our own IPs, our stories, a way to tell stories. This is super important because if we don't do it, those codes will be forced on us by those Silicon Valley guys. Anyways, we need to keep, economic development is important for us. And I think this metaverse opportunity will create so many jobs. We need to make sure that the investments are made here. Facebook announced, I don't know, $10 billion and 10,000 jobs in Europe. Why are they not announcing the same thing here? There's no reason. We should fight for this to happen here.
They announced it in Toronto.
Absolutely. What the hell? Honestly. Anyways, love those guys, but we need to make sure that happens here.
We need to manifest.
Yeah. We've been very proud of say, okay, we're leaders in tech for many reasons, but we don't want to end up, I had someone who commented on a thread recently I put on LinkedIn saying that, the internet was invented in Switzerland at the CERN. Well, kudos for you. Great. Where are you now? So we need to ensure our tech leader position, and it's not by being late at the party. We need to be early, right? Fourth, we need to have a strong voice. We're mentioning the challenges of the metaverse. We haven't figured out how to manage a public Discord, right, with Web 2, where you have asynchronous written comments. How are we going to manage live interaction, and at a scale of millions of people interacting, saying all kind of BS, right? That's a challenge. And so governance, ethical questions, we need to be there. The World Economic Forum has put together a task force to do that. We need to be at the table because we have values that are, strongly held by us Québécois, and we need to make sure that these voices are heard. And lastly, why should we care? Because we can take a leading position. Quebec has, and it's not been true in all tech revolutions, but today with this revolution where it mixes creativity, content, tech, and all that, we have everything that it takes to really be leaders in that field. And we strongly believe that. That's the why. Do you want to add anything else for the why?
I think you nailed it on the head. It's more like some people might wish they want to participate in a revolution, and I really think it's going to be one of the big revolutions of the 21st century. Like our digital life is becoming more and more important. We need to find a way to have a digital identity that's secure also. Like now it's a big problem. I don't know if you saw, I saw an article, I think yesterday, they said now Apple, they want to remove the passwords. It's just going to be with either your Touch ID, your Face ID and all that. So right now we're trying to build a digital identity where it's secure. It can be either yourself or it could be an alter ego. And it's going to just take more and more importance. the economy, needs to grow, and the physical world, it's pretty much exploited to the maximum. So all the excess growth, I think, will go in the digital economy and in the metaverse. And we have the talent pool here. One of the things when we moved in California, I was like, oh my God, like it's going to be like the Russian when they came here, we're here to learn. But the Russian, when they played Canada in La Série du Siècle, they almost won, And that's the thing I realized is like we have all the talent here to do great things. And we did that in other industries. And we have the gaming industry, we have the hardware industry, we have the immersive industry here in Montreal. And we just need to unite and really make a mark on the international.
And how do we make that mark? Glad that you're asking me the question, because this is on the right side of the slide. You have basically the how. So it's, what is it, 10? Les 10 commandements, voilà.
Yes.
So separate in 3 fields: investment, education, and formation, and promotion. And so I think this is really meant for everybody, not only the governments. We're not waiting for handouts. I think we have our own responsibility from industry to really do something about this. So you see, it's not meant only for Mr. Fitzgibbon here. So we need to reuse smartly the fonds de la relance post-pandemic. There are many envelopes that are not fully used yet, and it's easier for us to transform the usage of that rather than to ask for new laws to be passed at l'Assemblée nationale. We need to be able to experiment and fail. We need a fond d'expérimentation. The codes are not there. The business models are not crystallized yet. We need to be able not to be only in how many units of those gizmos can we sell, but what code can we create. Like Bertrand was saying, les Frères Lumière did their presentation in 1896. It took Georges Méliès 35 years to actually do like a proper story with it, right? So we're there. We need to allow ourselves to fail together. Soutenir l'émergence d'une plateforme québécoise. We have those big platforms that are attracting a lot of people. If we don't do that, we're going to be faced with the same issue we have now with Web 2, which we don't have distribution. And we're always relying on other platforms to do that. There's no reason why this platform, at this stage in the game, couldn't emerge from here. And let me tell you, there's Unreal, there's Unity, there's also other game engines that are being made right here on Saint Laurent, right? That are amazing. And we should identify those champions. It's there somewhere in promotion, and support them. Education. We need to upskill everybody. What we're doing with our own dime at the Seven Fingers, and it's basically helping our artistic directors to learn this new language. We need to do that with the thousands of artistic directors in Quebec. And we need to teach also the tech people to learn how to create in that space. It shouldn't only be video game designers who are going to create in the metaverse. It could be anybody. And then promouvoir le métavers québécois à l'étranger. Name a délégué général du Québec sur le métavers. Maybe if it's only marketing, just let's take that space, and support Quebec champions. And there are many in the making. Some of them already in this room. We need to do more together. So if you want to support this initiative, one of the 200, we already have 200 companies and individuals signing up. You just take a picture, you'll get to the metaverse that you put on change.org.
Yeah, or it's easy to remember. It's metaquebec.org, and it will redirect to the change.org.
And it's just like EAI, it's only the beginning of this adventure. Stay tuned, keep in touch. We'll announce something more in the next few months. We have friends working on a big état généraux du métavers coming up probably at the Palais des Congrès, but it's too early to tell. But stay tuned. There are many big adventure ahead of us.
Congratulations to you both and to all your teams and to everybody here. I think this work deserves a big hand of applause. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I hope you all got your QR code, metaversequebec.org.
MetaQuebec.
Meta, I'm so sorry. Meta, thank you for repeating, because if I make this mistake, maybe some of you will make it.
Yeah.
Even easier. Thank you again. Alexandre Teodoresco, Bertrand Nepveu. Merci, Alex. Merci, Bertrand.